Hello everyone and welcome back to Destiny. Yesterday we got a bit more information in regards to the release of Curse of Osiris, in addition to a pretty cool teaser showing off some of the new weapons and armor that are coming in the expansion. In this video we're going to pick apart that teaser a little bit, take a look at some cool stuff in it, and then we'll check out some news in regards to Curse of Osiris. Let's jump into it. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start by playing the teaser in full, and then we'll pick apart some really interesting things.
If the Vex succeed, it's the end of everything.
Anywhere we could stop them, we must.
Alright, so of course that was very brief, but something that I came to a realization of when watching that, and something that kind of broke my heart a little bit, was that was very clearly supposed to be the teaser for the third stream. It's in line with the other teasers, and this probably would have come out the day before the stream if it was still happening. I'm happy they were able to still put it out because new armor and new weapons are still fun to look at, so let's slow down the footage and see what we can find. This is the first place I want to stop, and that's because you can see the solar version of the Cold Heart in a little bit more detail. Sadly, I don't think this is going to be the introduction of a new weapon class yet. I think this is still going to be an exotic, but I'm glad they see the success of trace rifles and they're ready to inject more of them into the game. And here we can see the gun being used by a couple of the Guardians, and you can see that signature red beam coming out. My hope is that there's some different exotic perks this time. I don't want its exotic perk to be what the gun is. That would kind of be weird for the legendary versions of these weapons. At least the Cold Heart has the perk where it does more damage the longer it's on a single target. So maybe they'll be able to change it up in that way. Next up we have another shot of the Colony exotic grenade launcher from Weist being used here. And here you can see any shot that isn't a direct hit does spawn those robotic spider bombs, which is pretty hilarious to watch. Here we can see it caused a one-shot kill, but I doubt that this Guardian had full health. I don't think the rocket launcher would be that powerful. Of course, we'll just have to wait and see. Next up, we have a look at some of the legendary armor sets. We can see here we have a set that we haven't seen before, but it also looks like it might be ornamented. I'm not sure which set this could be from. We see what looks like the sigil of a lion on the Hunter's chest piece. I think this might be a mixed bag here, maybe even showing off one of the new shaders. I do want to temper my expectations of how many new armor sets we're getting. I assume we'll get one for the Destination of Mercury, maybe one from Eververse, and then perhaps another one for the Raid Lair. But my guess here is that each one of these Guardians is wearing from a different set. And then we see some Hunter gauntlets with a very curious blue spike on it, and then we see the same thing on the Warlock. So my guess is that this is some type of new ornament. The gauntlets do match the Hunter gauntlets, so I don't think they're from the same set of everything else they're wearing. Then finally we see a couple shots of some of the new exotic emotes, starting with the mic drop, and then we have a new sweeper emote, which is pretty awesome. Definitely can't wait to get that. So while I am a little bummed that they weren't able to sort of break down exactly where these armor sets are coming from, I guess that'll be a nice surprise on Tuesday. And speaking of which, let's talk a little bit about what that journey for the update is going to look like, courtesy of This Week at Bungie. So first up, let's talk preloading. You're going to be able to preload Curse of Osiris starting 8 AM Pacific on December 5th. The following storage requirements are needed to do the preloading, and it's pretty massive. For PlayStation 4, you need 88 gigabytes. For Xbox One, you need 44 gigabytes, and for PC, you need 68 gigabytes. This is basically the same as the original content, so I'm wondering whether or not this is going to be some kind of massive re-download of the entire game. So basically, make sure your consoles or your computers have enough space for these files. I don't think they're going to be permanent. They will most likely replace the current data, but you might have to uninstall a few games in the meantime just to get this down on your PlayStation or Xbox. Now, the one thing that this doesn't make clear, and I wish they communicated this a little bit differently, is I'm fairly certain that whether or not you're paying for Curse of Osiris, you're going to be getting this patch. Historically, the game is updated with every file to every console, whether or not you're paying for the data. So whether or not you're paying for Curse of Osiris, there's a good chance you're going to have this massive download on Tuesday. And the number one reason they do this is so that it's the same version across all consoles. You're going to be downloading Destiny 1.1. That contains all of the content for Curse of Osiris, but it also contains the data for Season 2. This contains all the sandbox tuning, all the Eververse stuff, the new vendor loadout. There's a lot that is in the game that's being added for you, whether or not you're buying the DLC. And also, if you do happen to then go ahead and change your mind and purchase the DLC, it's just one quick switch away. As soon as you get the license for it, then you can immediately start playing the content, and you don't have to have a second download. Now, as you may have noticed, this is only an hour before the supposed launch of Curse of Osiris, and now we're getting some updates on the actual launch for the Curse of Osiris content. It appears that there's going to be another maintenance period around that time. We don't have an exact time, but there's going to be another maintenance period on that Tuesday. My guess is that you'll be able to download the content while the game is under maintenance, and then once the maintenance is over, the Curse of Osiris content will be released for you to play. Also, with that, that's going to be the start of the new reset time at 1700 UTC, so that applies to anything like live events, things like new content releases, and of course the daily and weekly resets. Aside from that, we also got confirmation that we're not going to be seeing a preview of the sandbox tuning until the day of, so sadly we're going to have to wait until the patch notes to see exactly what's changing in reference to weapon balancing. And that brings us to the end of the news update. In case you missed it, I did put a video together outlining all of the information that Bungie did put out in reference to what's coming in Destiny 2 this year and beyond. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to check that out, but let me know in the comments below if you're excited now finally for the release of Curse of Osiris. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe for more Destiny content. And I will see you all next time.